In this session, we are going to start with a new topic, that is complex tissues. So, in the previous lectures, we studied about the simple tissue and its types, and in complex tissue, we will study about the xylem and phloem. So, if you remember, complex tissues are those tissues which are made up of many types of cells, right? Whereas the simple tissues were made of only one type of cell and they were all performing one function, but the complex tissue is made up of many types of cells or different cells, and all these cells work as a unit, as a single unit. So they work as a single unit to perform a specific function. Alright, so if we talk about the complex tissues, then they are mainly of two types: xylem and phloem. Complex tissues are of two types, xylem and phloem. So xylem is mainly responsible for conduction of water in plants. Whereas phloem is mainly responsible for conduction of food materials. Two different parts of the plant. Right? So the roots of the plant absorb water from the soil, and that water goes up to different parts of the plant like stems, leaves, etc. with the help of xylem. So xylem is mainly responsible for transporting water to different parts of the plant body, whereas the food which is prepared by the plant by the process of photosynthesis, that food reaches to all parts of the plant with the help of phloem. Alright, so we will study about the xylem and phloem in detail. So we will start with xylem, and if we talk about xylem and phloem, then both of these complex tissues are made up of 4 types of cells each. Right? So let us write down the names of the cells which constitute xylem and phloem. So if we talk about xylem, then xylem is made up of vessels, tracheids, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. So you can see these 4 types of cells constitute the xylem. That's why it is a complex tissue. Similarly, the phloem is also composed of 4 different types of cells, namely sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Alright, so I hope this much is clear. Now we will study about xylem first in detail, then we will move on to phloem. So let us start with the xylem. So as I told that xylem is mainly responsible for the conduction of water, and besides conduction of water, it also provides mechanical support to the plant. When we will study about different cells, the different types of cells that constitute the xylem, we will come to know that most of these cells are dead and their cell walls are thick and lignified. just like in sclerenchyma. So sclerenchyma was mainly responsible for mechanical support because they have thick cells walls and lignin deposition. Similarly, because the most part of the xylem is dead. If we look at the 4 types of cells in xylem, then vessels are dead, tracheids are dead, xylem fibers are dead, only xylem parenchyma is living. Alright, so 3 out of 4 parts of xylem are dead. And these dead parts have thick cell walls and lignin deposition, hence they are responsible, or besides conduction of water, they also provide mechanical support to the plant. Alright, and there's one more function that it also helps in the transport of phytohormones or plant growth regulators, also called plant hormones, and the transport of inorganic and organic nitrogen and phosphorus. Alright, so these were some of the functions that xylems perform in the plant body. Now let us talk about the different types of cells present in the xylem. So we will start with the first part, that is vessels. So vessels are long and cylindrical cells like these. These long and cylindrical cells are called vessels. Alright, and the walls of these vessels are very thick and lignified. So these walls are very thick. And since these cells are dead, there will be no chloroplast in them. Alright, and the central cavity will be present. A large central cavity will be present. So this is the large central cavity. This is the thick cell wall which is lignified, and there will be perforations all over the vessels like this for the conduction of water. The perforations will also be present here. Alright, so this constitute a vessel, long cylindrical cells, and they are made up of many such vessels which are called vessel members. So these vessel members are joined end to end for the conduction of water. Alright, so if I draw one more vessel connected to this, so the other vessel will be present here. Like this. So in this way the vessels are connected to each other, and each of these vessels is called a vessel member, and they help in the conduction of water from roots to the different parts of the plant. So the roots are below the soil, so the water will come from the base of the plant to the top. So the flow of the water in xylem is unidirectional. Transport of water with the help of xylem is unidirectional because it flows only in one direction from the roots to the upper part of the plant. So it is unidirectional. All right. Yeah. So this completes the vessels. There's one more important point to remember about vessels is that the vessels or the presence of vessels is a characteristic feature of angiosperm because gymnosperms lack vessels. Gymnosperms are a group of plants which bear naked seeds. They are non-flowering plants but they have seeds. So gymnosperms lack vessels. And vessels are present in angiosperms, hence they are an important characteristic feature of angiosperms. Alright, so this is an important point to remember. And we can see these are the pores. Through these pores the water comes out, or the water is passed from one vessel to the other. Now we will see the second type of cells, which are tracheids. So tracheids are also tube-like and elongated. The only difference is they are not as wide as vessels. They are narrow, like this. So this is a tracheid. It will also have perforations so that water can pass from one tracheid to another. And the cell wall is highly lignified, very thick, because it is a dead cell. Since it is a dead cell, protoplasm will be absent, and this will also help in the mechanical support of the plant, since it is found in xylem, and we studied that xylem helps in the mechanical support too. Alright, so this is a tracheid which is elongated and narrow, pointed cells with tapering ends. Alright, protoplasm is absent because they are dead cells. Walls are thick and lignified. Now if we talk about how the tracheids conduct water, then the two tracheids are jointed like this because the ends of these tracheids are not open. The ends, the tapering ends, are closed. So let me draw another one. You can see that these ends are not open. In case of vessels, these ends were open, so the other vessels can join end to end, but in tracheids the ends are closed, so the two tracheids are joined laterally like this. Like this they will be joined. and the water will be transported laterally like this. So the water is coming from here, or let us say the water is coming from the base, from here, then it will pass through this tracheid perforations like this laterally, and then it will move upward, and in the same way this tracheid will pass the water to the next tracheid above it. Alright, so there is a lateral conduction of water in tracheids. Lateral conduction of water. Why? Because the ends are closed, so the two tracheids are joined laterally at the ends, and the perforations in these tracheids make a pathway and the water passes laterally. Alright, so I hope tracheids is clear. Now let us talk about the third part, which is xylem fibers. Xylem fibers are also dead. With thick cell wall, lignified, alright, and the cell wall is so thick and there's highly deposition of lignified. The cell wall is highly lignified in such a way that the central lumen is obliterated. Central lumen is obliterated means there is no central lumen, or the central lumen we can say is absent, because the walls are very thick and lignified. So we will rarely find any central lumen, and the xylem fibers can be septate or aseptate. That means a septa may be present or a septa might be absent, which basically means there might be a separation inside the xylem fiber, or cavities, or we can say a kind of separation only. So if this is a xylem fiber, then it is so, the walls are so thick, then there is no place for the central lumen. Lumen is absent or highly obliterated. Now let us talk about the fourth cell, which is xylem parenchyma. Now this is the only part which is the living part of the xylem. Only living element of xylem. Rest of the three which we studied are dead. So the characteristics are similar to the parenchyma that we studied in the previous lecture. Then the cells will be thin walled, because parenchyma cells are living, so they will be undergoing division, so their cell walls are thin, and they helps in the storage of different materials like starch in case of plant, which is food, then fats and tannins. The cell wall of parenchyma is made up of cellulose, and the xylem parenchyma helps in radial conduction of water. So what is radial conduction? If this is a vessel, if these are two vessels, and then there will be tracheids here, and parenchyma cells are surrounding them like this. Then we studied that the vessels and the tracheids together, they conduct the water unidirectionally like this, from root to the other parts. But the parenchyma, the xylem parenchyma, they help in the radial conduction of water. So radial conduction of water means if this is a circle and this is the radius, right? So like this, sideways, in all the directions, sideways. This is how the parenchymatous or the xylem parenchyma will conduct water. So these xylem parenchyma will conduct water like this in all directions radially, that is sideways along with top and bottom, not bottom but mainly to the upper parts along with this sideways. So that is how the total conduction of water takes place in the plants with the help of these xylem elements. Alright, these four types of cells which are present in xylem, they are also called xylem elements. Xylem elements. Alright, so this was all about xylem. I hope each and every point is clear to you. Now, if we talk about the primary xylem, the primary xylem is that xylem which is formed during the early stages, during the growth of the plant, right? So if we talk about the primary xylem, then it is of two types: protoxylem and metaxylem. So protoxylem is that xylem which is formed during the early stages, and metaxylem is that xylem which is formed at the later stages of plant growth. Now, based on the arrangement of this proto and metaxylem, we can find two types of xylem or two types of condition. So in case of stems, monocot and dicot stems, the protoxylem is towards the center of the stem, which is also called as pith, and the metaxylem is towards the periphery of the stem. This type of arrangement or primary xylem is called endarch. Alright, if we talk about roots, both dicot and monocot, the protoxylem will be towards the periphery, just the opposite of stem. What we studied about stem, in roots it will be just the opposite. The protoxylem will be found towards the periphery of the root, and the metaxylem will be at the center. Such an arrangement is called exarch. So these are the two important terms, endarch and exarch. which tells us about the position of protoxylem and metaxylem in stems and roots. We will study about it more in the structure of dicot and monocot stems when we learn about their anatomy. Alright, so this was all about the xylem and the types of cells or the xylem elements that constitute the xylem along with their functions and types. So that was all for this lecture. In the next lecture we will start with the phloem. Thank you so much.